Hi, Gary here, and welcome to Lost Treasure Stories, episode 47. Boy, do we have a great episode for you this week. We have several short stories of lost treasure included in this episode, but then we're going to end the episode with a great lost treasure found story for you. And it's not only a story of lost treasure found, because there's a really good chance that there's more lost treasure still waiting to be found at that location. You don't want to miss that story, so stick around. Okay, let's get the show on the road.
This lost treasure story is from a newspaper article from around 1890, and reads: A Louisiana man by the name of Stafford Maynor settled in the Caleta community and built a two-story home for his family. To keep his gold safe, he hid it in bags of contraband cotton during the Civil War. Later, without telling anybody, he buried the gold. The man passed away. Years afterward, a few men were repairing the house and they found an old iron pot in the old chimney. But it was empty. So somewhere on the Maynor place there's $18,000 in gold buried which no one reportedly found. The value of gold today is worth a little bit more than it was in the 1860s. That $18,000 in gold coins would be worth over $2,500,000 in gold value alone at today's spot gold price. The gold coin collector market value would be astronomical.
Don't go away yet. Our next lost treasure story in this episode is coming up right now.
Here's a short mention about this lost treasure that appeared in an 1880s newspaper out of Texas. The article states, "This is a story of gold buried in old beech trees with odd markings at a place called Chambliss Ford in Polk County by a man who left to fight in the Civil War. He was killed in the war and his wife died soon after. The children remembered their father had buried the gold. When they were grown, they went to look for it but could not find it. It is said many other people have tried to find the gold by following the markings on the beech trees. But each time they started digging, the sound of someone else digging nearby could be heard. But the someone else could never be found."
Okay, here comes our next lost treasure story in this episode.
This lost treasure story is from a newspaper article out of Mississippi on November 1st, 1987. It goes like this. In June 1932, Grover Warren, a well-known businessman who didn't trust banks, buried his life savings in his backyard in Mississippi. Warren was in the business of lending money and it was widely known that he always kept a large amount of gold and silver coins in his house for business deals. One day a friend told him to hide his money. The man said he had overheard a local ruffian talking who said, "Wouldn't it be too bad if old Grover was robbed?" Warren didn't think much about his friend's warning at first, but the more he thought about it the more he worried. A few days later, Warren dug a hole with post-hole diggers and buried 1/2-gallon jar of gold coins near his house. The next day buried a pint jar of silver coins next to the cellar door at the rear of the house. That night he told his sister Bessie, who shared the large frame house with him, what he had done. Bessie told him he was crazy for burying all the money he had. She also pointed out that he would have to dig it up in a few days when someone wanted to borrow money. The next week Bessie went on a trip. When she returned after a few days, she found Grover dead. He had been beaten to death and the house had been searched from top to bottom. Everything in the house had been torn apart in an apparent search for her brother's money. The murderer was never found. Bessie continued to live in the house. She never tried to recover the buried gold or silver. She had enough money to live on, and it seems that was all she wanted. A few years later, Bessie told one of the boys in the neighborhood, who did odd jobs for her, about her brother's hidden gold. She told the boy he could have the money if he could find it. The lad searched for the catch with a pick and shovel, but searching with hand tools was hard work. He gave up the search. Bessie died in 1947 and the young man forgot about the treasure until 1965, when he bought his first metal detector. The first place he searched was in Bessie's backyard. In a few minutes he found the pint jar of silver coins. In the following days, he searched for the half-gallon jar of gold coins, but never found it. The area the gold coins were buried in consists of 2 or 3 acres. The Warren treasure site is 1 mile south of Ecru, Mississippi, on State Highway 15. On the right side of the highway heading south, you'll find the old home site of Grover Warren, and maybe the jar filled with gold coins will be yours. A newspaper ran this article on October 10, 1896 about a lost treasure in Illinois. Here's the article. A night's hard work, a lot of holes in the ground, and nothing found as the result of a money-mining jubilee on the farm of the late Henry Willard in Union County, in an endeavor to find treasure owned and buried by Willard previous to his death. Willard was a well-to-do farmer who died a couple of years ago. One of that class of individuals who have no confidence in banks. Some days previous to his death, at a time when he thought he would die, he told his family he had money buried at several places on the farm, and when it was certain he would die, he would tell them the places. Willard grew rapidly worse and died without saying anything further that his family could understand except the word, trees. Soon after his death, $3,000 was found buried beneath an apple tree on the place, but nowhere else could any be found. The farmer sold to D.H. Rendleman, with the understanding that money found buried there should go to the heirs of Willard. A night or two since, parties quietly slipped into the place, and dug up the earth in places, throwing wagon loads and piles and almost uprooting many of the trees. There is, however, no evidence that anything was found in the wholesale search.
Okay, I hope you've enjoyed the video so far, but coming up now is that special Lost Treasure Found story.
This lost treasure found story is from a newspaper article of September 17, 1913, from Glen Elder, Kansas. A special treat with this one is, there is a very good chance that there is more lost treasure there. Here's word for word what the article said. A story which smacks of the days of Captain Kidd and his hidden pirate hordes of fiction has come to light in this country, following discovery of $21,000 in currency by the heirs of Perry Rice, one of the old-time residents of this city, who died recently. The heirs are continuing the search in the belief that only a portion of the old man's wealth has been uncovered, and before it ends, the whole place will be turned upside down. Some of the money already uncovered was in the yard, more of it in the cellar, and a roll containing $5,000 was found in an old mattress just before it was consigned to the flames. Mrs. Rose, one of his daughters, was searching for hidden treasure in the cellar and found a buried can, which contained $15,000. This money was all in gold and the search was taken up with renewed vigor, and in an old can, which was buried in the yard, $5,000 more was found. Mr. Rice was known in and about the city for his eccentricities and for years past had no confidants, living the life of a hermit in a hovel which answered the purpose of a home to him. He owned much city property, including several business buildings, and 3 good farms, from what money he refused to deposit in banks. There was much speculation before his death where he kept his wealth, and it was common talk that it was buried about the place. This led to the search which has so handsomely rewarded his heirs. Not a great while ago a force of workmen were excavating for a cement walk, and their labors were watched closely by the old man until one of them unearthed a can, filled with glittering gold coins, which he carried away with him to a more secure hiding place. Stories are in general circulation of mysterious happenings which the neighbors have witnessed about the place for years past, and indicate that all the old miser's wealth has not yet been located. Often, late at night, he had been seen busily digging about in his yard, and it is believed that he was, during these periods, secreting his wealth.
Okay, that wraps up this episode of Lost Treasure Stories. If you like reading Lost Treasure Stories, I have a couple of links in the video description box of my favorite all-time treasure books and magazines. These are classics. They're not being published anymore, so if you think you might want to add them to your library, try to act fast. They're getting harder and harder to find. Our next episode is coming soon, so hit that subscribe button so you don't miss it, and make sure you have your notifications turned on.